Yo, welcome to the 404 YouTube channel. Please remember to like and subscribe. Enjoy the video. Peace. What your point that like how fucking much of a rise it gets out of people, how emotionally invested people can be. I think I fully understood it in the context of video games with The Last of Us.
Mhm.
The way that like no, pre-launch before anybody knew a fucking thing, we were all watching the same YouTube videos to learn and get clues on the game and what the story might be or won't be. But people fucking love it, and they fought tooth and nail that it was a fucking work of art. It was a classic
But
story
listen,
like Cinderella, you know?
this is why I emphasize my point of Cyberpunk being something completely different, because the example that you're bringing up is a franchise. So people have already gained the justified loyalty through that franchise
Mm,
and through that anticipation.
hmm.
Cyberpunk doesn't have that. So still to this day, when you ask about Cyberpunk, the example or the evidence that this game will be next level people use is The Witcher. And when you ask people to elaborate or give more examples, they can't because
Right,
more examples don't exist.
right,
So this is why it's an enigma. This is why it's something else. This is why uh, the wait for next gen, COVID, the gaming industry, all of these things play a huge point in the conversation of cyberpunk and the expectations around it. And the conversation that we're having here has nothing to do with actually the final product of cyberpunk.
sure,
It has nothing to do with that.
sure,
It's all based on expectation,
right,
and with expectation being such a personal thing, um, and opinions being what defines the end product.
right,
There is no right or wrong here.
right.
It is just a purely opinion based, um, which is also quite funny that people get so fired up about something which really there is no right or wrong. It's what you think or what I think. It's interpretation.
Keanu Keanu Reeves doesn't play a role. Keanu Reeves plays Keanu Reeves in Keanu Reeves, starring Keanu Reeves, produced, directed, and written by Keanu Reeves. He actually is just
Hmm.
Keanu Reeves with like a
Hmm.
different outfit on in every fucking movie.
He's the
So
Jim Carrey of the action world.
yeah, I go, I think Tom Cruise is a lot like that too. That I'm not saying that he's
Yeah, very similar.
unsuccessful. That's not what I'm saying, but
No,
like he's just himself.
they
So the
hire him for Tom Cruise, like they hire Keanu Reeves for Keanu Reeves.
right.
They're not asking him to go above and beyond to create some alternate persona. They're just like, okay, come and do you.
Right. And I think like how if you're in essence what I'm saying is you're a shit actor in the context of traditional acting, how the fuck are you going to be a good voice actor?
By being Keanu Reeves. He's just gonna do him.
Is there a shot in hell? Like we're just in such a different time now. Like back in the day, like if you
Hmm.
were a movie actor, you were like ew at the thought of doing a TV show. You're like, ew,
Hmm.
get that peasant shit away from me. And then all of a sudden, TV became that better gig, right? Because
Hmm.
box office sales changed, potential deals that you can get from being on TV, et cetera, et cetera. With the rise of like mainstream video games and the revenue that this industry continues to bring in, this is the video game medium is now outdoing the TV platform, the TV medium.
Hmm.
So we're gonna see like more and more A-list stars get into voice acting.
I think it was just more to your point. It wasn't something that was glamorized, so it might be a gig that people take, but it wasn't something that was, you know, looked at the way that we look at it now.
Sought after, sure. Did you see any of these leaks?
No, man,
No, that's not your style. That's not how you get down.
that's just not on the internet. I didn't even know there were leaks until you told me.
We are now we're like 60 hours away from the release of this game, ballpark.
Mm-hmm.
I want to talk about games media again. I know you're not on the internet, but there's this interesting sort of strategy that I feel that studios, publishers are using now.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if it's unique to this publisher handles it that way, this publisher handles it this way, or they all kind of run off basically the same blueprint and make small minor adjustments here and there. I don't know if this is directly a result of COVID, this particular strategy that CD Projekt Red is running here, but I found it really interesting that the embargo, the date in which
Mm-hmm.
these publications can go live with their reviews and things, was
Mm-hmm.
set at release date and time. Not 24
That's
hours
smart.
before, not 48 hours before, not a week
Mm-hmm.
before, but the date and time folks can actually pick up a controller, their mouse and keyboard and start playing is the same time
It's smart.
that YouTube can get flooded with IGN's
Mm-hmm.
review, GameSpot's review, et cetera, all the way down the
Mm-hmm.
line. I agree with you. I think it is smart. The question, I guess the question I want to ask you is, when someone is undecided on a game and they're like on
Mm-hmm.
the fence about it,
Mm-hmm.
they think they might be interested, they think that there's probably like some major flaw or something that they just want to stay away from, whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
Current day 2020, obviously with the pandemic and all these other things happening all over the world, financial hardship, et cetera, that person that's on the fence about making a purchase decision, a $50, $60, $70 purchase
Mm-hmm.
decision in regards to a video game, what is the medium that they look to kind of sway them? Yes, no, maybe, kind of, I'm gonna stay away. No, I'm definitely ponying up this money to get this game. Is it fucking a major publications review, or is it checking out Twitch? What do you think most folks do in that situation?
100% is still the IGNs, the GameSpots. It's still these.
You think so?
Unfathomably to someone who is somewhat in that industry, yeah, it
Right.
is that is 100%. The amount of times people will always come back and say, "Oh, I saw this review, but it got a 9 out of 10 on IGN." It's like how these aren't completely redundant now is beyond me. But that is definitely still the way that most people will gauge. That for some reason it's just gospel to a lot of people, right?
Okay.
People think if it got a good review across the board, then it's a great fucking game. No question.
When we talked about The Last of Us,
Mm-hmm.
we had a little look at Metacritic to take a look at the stores,
Mm-hmm.
pre-launch, post-launch. The reason that they have TBD here, I literally think, is a direct result of all of that backlash following The Last of Us. I think, because obviously we know that folks have this game, right? They have physical copies of this game. They've been playing
Mm-hmm.
it, the leaks are everywhere, so it's a thing. And
Mm-hmm.
we know that people are trolls on the internet, so they bomb shit, right? Whether they have experience, whether they're an
Mm-hmm.
experienced reviewer or not, they're still just going to bomb shit on a site like Metacritic. These TBDs, I think, are really telling. I think Metacritic actually had to change stuff. I'm not saying it was a direct result because CD Projekt Red say, we have an embargo, it's this date, this time, don't put anything up until then.
Mm-hmm.
Or it was just them saying, hey, look, let's not fucking sway anyone's decision one way or another with some arbitrary rating that was posted by a 13-year-old kid with no pants on in his
Mm-hmm.
mom's basement. I like this. I think this is really responsible of a company like Metacritic to do this.
Mm-hmm.
Because
I think
if
it's legalities. I don't think it's anything other.
okay,
I
so
don't
you
think
think
they have any moral compass when it comes to things like that.
okay, so
I
you
think
think
they don't want to get sued.
this decision was made in the boardroom to do it this way.
100%,
Got
in
it.
my opinion.
Okay. All right. I thought
I
that was
mean, copies got sent out early, right? I knew that much. I also saw a post by CD Projekt Red saying that, look, nothing could be spoken about this game. Obviously not quote unquote, but pretty much that until this time and date. With how NDAs usually work, it works in a game's favor to release it early, because you've already got a bunch of people that are committed, and then the people sitting on the fence that are waiting for something, waiting to be told the game is good to buy it, are going to end up buying the game before it's released. So you're making that conversion before release date. I think the way that this game's working, with the momentum that they've built up, with the pushbacks, with the expectations, with where the world is at, doing it this way is just smart. It's just the smart way to do it. Most people are sold on it already. Most people think this game's going to be life-changing and massage their feet when they're in bed and pay their bills and walk their dog already. Like, so a review isn't going to change that. Plus, 99% of these reviews, in my opinion, are null and void. I don't remember the last time I saw a bad review. It's just, you can pay these companies to write a good review on your shit.
Absolutely.
In fact, I would guarantee most of these companies are paid to write good reviews on shit.
I think most is when we get into a weird spot, but I don't know that. I don't disagree with you about Paola. The delay, this most recent delay from mid-November to December.
Mm-hmm.
They have presented it. CD Projekt Red had presented it as, hey, it's 3 weeks or 3.5 weeks, whatever it is, to put some like finishing polish on it, touch up some things. That's sort of how they communicated it to the audience. I never believe anything, literally half of what I see, none of what I hear. I think as fans of video games, we're all kind of like just beaten into the ground by consistently being given unfinished games to play, by being, fucking free employees to beta test stuff so that they can go ahead and change from there. So when a game launches or just prior to pre-launch, there's like 2, 3, potentially 4 patches leading up to launch day, and then obviously subsequent patches following that. You took 3 weeks just to get the bare minimum done, right? You took 3 weeks just to get the base level polish done. Then we're going to go through another probably 3 weeks after the game's live of you trying to polish shit up and get it fixed and all that.
Potentially.
Are we ever going to get to Are we ever going to get to a place where we're just like buying a finished product, or that doesn't exist anymore?
It exists, but it's far and few between. I mean, if we're content to throw money at being free beta testers, why would they change it, right?
Right.
At the end of the day, all of this isn't art anymore. This is margins. It's all it is.
Right.
Gaming is not what it used to be. If they can make sales and we can beta test, then they will. Why would they change?
Right.
Why fix something that's not broke?
Right.
I'm an individual that would complain all the time about a game feeling unpolished and riddled with bugs and performance issues. I pre-ordered the most expensive fucking edition. Does that change the way I consume content or I purchase in the future? No.
Right.
It doesn't. So what does my opinion mean?
When a company does mass takedowns, this is speaking to one of the questions in chat, how do people have access to the game and streaming now? So, Games League, physical copies, break the street date, Best Buy ends up shipping out early, or, your I guess maybe your local GameStop or whatever physical retail store you may visit local to you breaks a street date and just says, it's a pandemic, I got to pay rent, here's the game today, rather than waiting for release day. And then folks go home, they pop it in their PlayStation, their Xbox, and they go ahead and start playing. And then the mass, I don't even know if it's technically DMCA takedowns, but CD Projekt Red obviously strikes the video and it gets taken off whatever platform. It's not necessarily YouTube or Twitch. We're talking about like, recorded VODs posted to like Streamable and other various video platforms around the web. Does that bother you? Are you like, wow, why is this company going so hard to hide the game? Because I was at first with that shit, especially around Last of Us. Now I guess I've grown a little callous
I
to it, but
I am completely in control of what I see.
right,
Why would that bother me in any way, shape, or form? I haven't seen any leak. Do you know why? So I don't want to see any leak.
right,
Simple.
right,
It doesn't bother me in any way.
right,
I mean, if you want to take the action to watch a spoiler, that's on you.
right.
Why are you going to moan about it? I don't get it. I
Yeah,
haven't seen any spoilers
I find it
because I don't go
interesting.
looking for that shit.
Yeah, I find it, to your point, I find it really interesting when someone like complains about seeing or feels like that they've been done a misjustice because
Hmm.
they've just witnessed the spoiler when it's like, well, what did you think could happen if you just started watching random videos about a game that you're super interested on the internet?
Hmm. I
Like,
mean, yeah, let's remove the fact that there's probably some sort of indicator leading up to the point that you're going to watch something with spoilers. Let's completely erase that and just say you accidentally, for whatever reason, stumbled on a video that was misleading and you thought it was something that wasn't containing spoilers.
how do you stumble upon it though? Like like you're
I
searching
mean,
at some point in time for this. You're punching in the word Cyberpunk
hmm,
2077 or somewhere in some
because you're
search
obsessed
bar.
with it. You're waking up looking for it.
Right.
On your lunch break, you're searching for it. Before you go to bed, you're telling your wife to shut the fuck up because you're looking for more clips. You're
Or may
obsessed and infatuated with
or
this.
maybe you're just looking to make, a good purchase decision because that is part of it too. And that's kind of how we started, right? You're like,
I mean, but it's all preference.
sure.
Some of the best purchase decisions you've ever made would be me setting my money on fire.
Right. Which you've done 3
Why
million
is there
times
so
in life.
much?
Yeah.
Uh, Enough,
Right.
definitely. Like this constant search for validation from others. It's just. I think the just to put this out here, I think the game will be great. I think
You
it will
do.
feel polished. I do, 100%. I think the
Mm.
game will be great.
An early
But
prediction from Marvelo. Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
my definition of great against the rest of the world's population definition of great could be very fucking different.
Sure.
Right? Do I think it will be worth the money? Sure.
Right.
But the way that I define value is completely different to the world's population.
Sure.
So none of this none of this means anything. I don't think the game's going to be terrible. Do I think people will think the game's terrible? Sure. Do I think people will think this is the best game that they've ever played? Sure. But there's so many different variables you have to take into consideration with either of those statements. It really just pales into insignificance and means nothing.
Right.
Doesn't I've said it before, this game, regardless of how it comes out, will not get into my top 100 games.
Well,
I say that
you're a
as
gamer.
fact. Exactly.
You're a
And
gamer
I'm
gamer.
32 years old. Hmm. So that means something to me, but that doesn't mean something like this will be some people's number one game they've ever played.
Sure.
Granted, those people are probably 13 years old,
Right.
and this is PS5's the first console they've ever played. But it doesn't take any value away from that statement.
Sure.
To each their own. It is what it is. My expectations are super low with this game.
Right.
My expectations are super low with games.
Right. All right. So let's focus the conversation now. Let's go a little deeper.
Hmm.
You just said you think the game is going to be great. Um,
Hmm.
excuse me. So I canceled my pre-order.
Hmm.
I canceled my pre-order, and there might not have been too many more people that were more fucking hype about this game than I was. Honestly,
Yeah, I vouch for that. Yeah.
I there was something about it. The first fucking like little bit I learned of it, probably like I want to say maybe a year and a half ago when I first learned of it. Um, and then like E3 and that little teaser, Keanu walking out and all that shit, like just obviously fucking lit a fire in my fucking hype beast ways. But I find it I find it really disheartening that the delay in April happened,
Mhm.
and I get that, a pandemic happened and all that stuff, which, I mean, no one could predict that occurring, obviously. So, uh, for it to happen, I was like, maybe this thing should have never had a date, the year prior in 2019. They just weren't at, you know, 90% completion or whatever benchmark you have to hit before you put out a street date on something. They weren't necessarily at that point in development or towards completion as far as a finished product is concerned. But when you're dealing with stockholders, when you're dealing with investors, and you have to do certain reporting, I get that. They set the date, meaning that they want return on their investment, and you kind of just have to play within those means. That's the business world by and large. Forget video games for a second. If you've ever owned a business or had
Mhm.
equity in a business, that's kind of just the way that shit goes. But that aside, if you're telling me that you need fucking 7 months, April to November,
Mhm.
to get this thing done because that's going to make the game that much better. Who can really argue that?
Mhm.
Whatever. There's some sort of selfish, I want it now. No, mom, I want it now, you know, type shit. But like,
Entitlement for sure.
you know,
Mhm.
in reality, if it means that you get a better product day one, then who the fuck can argue that? So fine. So you lick your wounds, you go about it. Let's all look forward to November. Obviously, by November, we were only further in a pandemic, and I'm speaking from the context of the U.S. Uh,
Mm.
at different parts of the world, it's obviously different, but um, that that idea that we're fucking all sitting at home waiting for this thing to release. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? And now all of a sudden we're fucking smacked in the face with another delay. For 3 weeks.
Mhm.
That startled me, but I said again, if you guys need 3 weeks to make this thing run smoother, for new consoles to get to 60 FPS in your development or whatever the fuck the situation is, I'm no programmer. I don't know shit. Fuck it, take it. Who gives a shit? It's 3 weeks. What does it matter, right? If you've waited years or 2 years or however long you've been watching this thing, what the fuck is 3 weeks, right? I've wasted three
Mhm.
weeks in terrible relationships with women that have ended
Mhm.
horribly wrong. So 3 weeks to wait on a game that I really want to play, cool. I'm good with that. Um, Fine. The thing that struck me as far as the pre-order was like, as far as my pre-order specifically, is how are we still seeing, and again, I shouldn't judge this shit off fucking some asshole kid that's got a physical copy and plugged it into his Xbox. There's a lot of fucking bugs. There's a lot of bugs.
Look,
And
let
you
me
know
jump
that
in
a
and say
day
this.
one patch is not going to fix that shit.
Let me say this, right? A date is given by the higher ups in the boardroom. The devs have to meet that date.
Right.
That date is never long enough to get the product polished or how they want it. These are margins.
Right.
The puppets listen to the puppet master and they have to meet that date knowing full and well that it's never going to be a finished product.
You're talking my language now.
COVID was an incredible scapegoat. Valid to some degree, I guess.
It's a good
It
point.
was incredible. Pushbacks on games in this era of gaming are a ray of light.
Right.
I hope every game that I'm anticipating gets pushed back. Give it to me let me wait an extra 12 months for it.
Right.
Please. I beg you.
You'd welcome that.
Because I already know that the date that people are working with isn't adequate for them to have what they want to be released.
Right.
It's just been a great argument for the dev team to make, look, we can't push it out. This has happened. People aren't in the office. We're going to need extra time.
Right.
Every time a game gets pushed back, I have a great fucking big sigh of relief. Honestly.
Mm-hmm.
It's one step further away from beta and one step closer to end product. That's
Right.
how I see things. So for me, I literally am filled with happiness when I hear a game's pushed back.
Mm-hmm.
There's no other feeling I have. I'm not like, damn, I wish we could. Why now? Is it another 3 weeks? I don't get any of that. I'm like, thank God.
Right.
When you're talking about what you're talking about, obviously I haven't seen any of the leaks. You speak about bugs being present. Bugs are always going to be a thing. There isn't a better play tester than the audience that they're selling to.
Sure.
You know? No one's gonna break a game like gamers.
Absolutely.
No one's gonna play a game like gamers.
Especially as fast.
This is what, yeah, it's just not gonna happen. The amount of people on the game doing different things, like like playtesters for devs aren't a room of 1,000 fucking people playing the game 12, 13, 14, 15 hours a day.
Right.
That's not how it looks. You know? So it's never gonna have the same result. As far as bugs, I don't know, because I haven't seen any of these leaks. I still have no desire to check them out. But does that surprise me? No.
Right. Let's get into predictions. You and I have a little bet going on, right? We've had it for some time now.
We have.
It is fucking time. Ladies and gentlemen, it was over the summer. It was a warm summer day. I am the consummate analyst, the numbers guy, traditionally, as far as between the two of us is concerned. But man, when that part of my brain leaves and I go into hype beast mode, I am one of the best, baby. All rational thinking goes out the window and I become this fucking puddle of mush just ready to be sold shit. Just the consumerism just oozes out of me. And we end up kind of swapping roles in this instance specifically. So here it is. It was, just checking the date right here. It was May of, of 2020, the year of COVID, where you and I sat here and crafted this very, very specific bet. And here it is, ladies and gentlemen. Here is the bet in no uncertain terms. Let me pull up the Post-it note that has been attached to my desk since that very day.
You wrote on that today.
I swear to God, bro. I swear to God. And you know why I didn't? Because at the top it still says November 19th to December 19th. So that is true as true gets right there. No word of a lie on that one. The bet was.
Well, ask the question. Formulate it as a question.
Okay.
So the debate that we were having was purely through the analytics on Twitch.
Correct.
It was based on day one release viewers and where those viewers would stand 30 days on the 30th day.
Post-launch.
So the viewers on Twitch day one and the viewers on the 30th day post-launch on Twitch.
Correct.
And the conversation that we were having with Coolhxxs completely engulfed by the hype of Cyberpunk.
Right.
Was what percentage will these viewers have dropped from the day one to the 30th day? And I think he said to me, he was talking about, I don't know the exact percentage, but he made the joke of, would you take the bet $100 on 80%? It was something like this.
It was like 75 or so. Yeah, it was around there.
Yeah, which I found fucking hilarious. I don't mind a nice friendly bet, but I don't want to just steal off my friends.
Right.
So it changed over time. Plus, with my ego and me being stubborn, I made it even harder for myself, or at least he would see it harder for myself with the numbers that I was firing back. So what does the bet stand at with that backstory and understanding?
Making a bet on longevity, the idea of longevity at least. 30 days post-launch, Marvelo believes that there will be less than 95% of the viewership of those day one views on Twitch. He's upped it to 96.
Yep, and I stand by 96. And
So
push me, and I'll push it to 97.
So on January 10th, not the 29th day, not the 31st day, on the 29th, on the 30th day, which is going to be January 10th, we are going to see if Cyberpunk 27 has been able to retain simply 4% of its day one viewership numbers.
I'm not playing. I need the money. This isn't a joke.
So, this is really interesting, and we both made the bet blind. We didn't come in with any sort of crazy data or anything. I'm a hothead. I'm a degenerate gambler. I'll put money down on 2 cockroaches running up a wall. It doesn't matter. I'll think the one with the little blue fin swingy tail is going to win with no previous information.
And me personally, just to put that out there, I don't bet.
Yeah.
I win. So I wouldn't have signed this contract if I wasn't 100% sure it was going to swing in my favor. Obviously, it isn't. It doesn't work like that. But I am cocksure that I can't lose this.
To specify, it's the peak. It's the peak number on that day. So the peak number on day 1, the peak number on day 30.
Within that 24-hour span.
Right. Projections come Wednesday, day 1, December 9th, December 10th, depending on your region. What is going to be the viewership number? What are we going to be looking at on Twitch day 1? You got Carnage in the directory. You got all these fucking big wigs swinging dicks. What are we looking at?
This is the way I see this. This is the most hyped, highly anticipated game. Full stop. Nothing's come close.
In what? In terms of Twitch, like since Twitch is a thing, or
I mean games.
Ever.
With how the gaming industry is now, and how games are consumed by such a wide audience, varying from children to grown-ups, with the new gen console, with this not just dropping on the new gen console, the amount of platforms that this can be consumed on, I feel like nothing competes with the hype and momentum that Cyberpunk has built up. So I don't think it will hit a mil.
Okay.
I would be very surprised if it didn't surpass 700K and set a new record.
Okay.
There's so much hype and momentum behind it. It's unreal.
So I think it hits a mil. If I was to make that bet with someone, I would need odds. I would need that to pay, 2 to 1, 3 to 1 maybe. Because it is sort of a long shot. It's obviously a gigantic fucking number, but I do think it could get there. As a like a bit of a long shot play. So
I wouldn't take the bet, but it wouldn't surprise me.
That alone, we're talking about 40K come January 10. You know what I'm saying? Which is a small number, relatively speaking.
It's not a small number. 40K people to be viewing a game 30 days after release, a solo, not multiplayer, not online, a solo campaign game 30 days after release, 40K. I don't think any game's ever done it. Unless somewhere in your DMs you've hit up Shroud, Carnage, all of these man, and slid them a drink for them to stream on the 30 days after.
Right.
It's not happening. I will stream and add my little viewers on that day, and it still won't happen.
Imagine paying off Shroud more than the whole bet's worth just to choose what game he's paying on that day.
Something you would do.
I would, just on principle. Someone in chat asked, and this will be it, and then we'll roll out.
What's my top 3 games?
I know. Here we go.
These questions are impossible to answer. We should make an episode on this.
Top 3 games?
Not necessarily top 3 games, because that's an impossible question to answer.
Okay.
But we should make an episode on top lists. It doesn't have to be based around games. It can still revolve around music and movies, because it's the same thing. the majority of the games that fit in my top 100 um, are not on any of the most recent current generations of console or platform.
Okay.
There's they're years and years old.
Okay.
That's something. That's something that games these days couldn't ever compete with, which is why that list is so hard to penetrate. Pause.
Okay. All right. And this is for real the final question.
Hmm.
This is really just for a clip on Twitter.
Okay.
Game Awards. Also Wednesday.
Hmm.
The Last of Us Part
Goes
2.
to Shima.
The Last of Us Part 2 is nominated for a total of 8 awards, including Game of the Year. How many do
Hmm.
they win of that 8?
Without knowing all the categories off by heart, they're not going to win musical score if they're up for that. I've seen other people in the running. I would say they win 3, 4
3
max.
of 8. Okay.
Mm.
Okay. I hope to win 0. The game was fucking garbage. Absolute trash. It was fucking terrible. On that note, thank you all. We appreciate you. Love, be good. We will see you on Cyberpunk Day. It's around 7 p.m. Eastern time in the United States. Marv may or may not. He may jump on when it releases. He may not.
We'll see.
Thank y'all.